Welcome to Dropping Diamonds with me, AJ Andrews, where we dive headfirst into the world of softball. Today, we are joined by co-owner for Baseball United, Home Run Derby X. He's a special advisor to New York Yankees, all-star. He's a World Series champion. Let me catch my breath. He's an all-star. He has spent over a decade in the league. It is the one and the only, the sunshine personified. I call him Nick Swisher.
Hey, Jet, what's good, player? What's good? I love that intro, dude. I'll come on this show anytime for that.
You have to take a sip of water to keep all your credentials when we talk about who Nick Swisher is. But no matter what you put down on paper, I think anybody that gets the privilege to meet you will say that your energy is number one on the list of the amazing things that you bring to the table. And so I'm so grateful to be able to be graced by it today.
Oh, AJ, I love you, kid. I mean, we've known each other for a little bit now. I mean, obviously, watching all you're doing, big fan. Like I said, anytime I can help you out, I'm down for it, dude. So let's get this thing rolling.
You the best. Well, I always like to start my podcast with a quote to kind of really get us going, an affirmation. And so one that I thought was very fitting to you and to just our conversation today is wherever you go, no matter the weather, always bring your own sunshine. And for you, when it comes down to maybe a quote or an affirmation that you feel like really resonates with you or has throughout your career or your life, do you have one that really sticks out?
Yeah, it's a very simple quote. It was taught to me back when I was really young. Don't mind the horse, just load the wagon. And I feel
Okay.
like you could get yourself into some trouble when you kind of complicate things in life. Sometimes we forget what the main thing is. Keep the main thing, and don't worry about distractions. Obviously, I love that quote that you read, that affirmation from the beginning, because if you're thinking about the game that both of us played in, if we succeeded 3 out of 10 times, we were considered one of the best. So that means 7 times out of those 10, you are failing and you are dealing with it real time. So you have to be confident in who you are. You have to be confident in your own 2 feet. I try and teach my daughters that all the time. There's going to be a day where I'm not going to be there, and I need to know that you're strong enough and confident enough to stand on your own 2 feet as a woman. And so, I mean, obviously we can get into the girl dad stuff later, but I love that quote because I think believing in yourself is one of the first things that you have to have in life to be, successful in anything. Not everybody's going to believe in you, but if you wake up with yourself in a belief every morning, usually good things are going to happen.
Okay, I feel like the affirmation we can drive from all that, don't mind the horse, load the wagon. Today, I believe in myself, no matter the weather or the time. I am the sun. I am the sunshine.
It sounds good to me, dude. It sounds amazing. I'm just like, wait, can we like tattoo that somewhere?
I
You know,
no matter
it
the,
is
I
true. I
love
mean,
it.
you've been part of you're doing things that not a lot of people are doing, right? You're coming to the a man's game in in MLB and have made a massive mark. You have done it with class, style, your own swag, and once again, I truly believe that if you don't come off with that own confidence in yourself, that sometimes the world can get to you.
Yeah.
And that also goes for our athletes out there, our softball players, our young baseball players. You have to believe in yourself because the one person that you're going to wake up with each and every morning is yourself. And whether you need to write something on the mirror in the morning when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, or whether you need some Post-it notes, stuck all over the place just to remind yourself you're awesome, find out a way to do that because the more that we believe in ourselves, the more we'll be able to help the world as well because we'll come at it with a confident style.
We're going to be dropping diamonds all throughout this podcast. I can already tell. We've already started. We're 4 minutes in, and we've dropped at least 10 diamonds based off of everything that you just said. And when you talk about the confidence part and whether it has to put sticky notes, the conversations you say to yourself, or the affirmations you have to tell yourself, what is something that really allowed you to build your confidence and then keep it?
I think, that's a great question. It's funny. I have a lot of, young athletes that say, Coach Nick or, Swish, how do you gain that sort of confidence? How do you walk around with that sort of confidence that you have? And I guess the easiest way to explain it is you got to put the work in. I remember when I first started dating, my wife Joanna, who has been so successful in, in everything that she's done, from Reba to Sweet Mags, like the whole nine. I remember when we first started dating, I'd be like, "Wow, Mama, when I watch you on TV, you look so free. You look like you can do anything." And she was like, "Well, of course." And I was like, "Well, how do you do that?" She says, "Because I'm prepared." And
Ooh.
it really stuck to me because at the end of the day, if you go into those situations, AJ, we both played in major games. We've both played in huge games. And I've been in some of those games where I was crazy nervous and some of those games where I was crazy confident. And the times that I look back on those times when I was crazy confident is because I had put the work in. I had not missed a day. I had sharpened my sword. I was ready to go to battle. I was ready to do that. And I think that sometimes when your confidence lacks, that may be because your work ethic took maybe a hit that last week. So, one of the best pieces of advice that I could give any young athlete is if you want to be confident, put the work in because nobody knows the work you're putting in until you step on the field.
What about the times when you are putting the work in and the results just aren't coming on the field and remaining confident in those stances? Because you go up there, it's like, I put in double time, triple time this week, and I
Yeah.
can't see the ball, or the ball is just not finding a hole. How do you remain confident in those moments?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with your character at that moment. I think that has a lot to do with what type of individual you are. Listen. You can say whatever you want about Mendoza, quarterback for Indiana, but I fucking love that guy, dude. He ain't scared to be himself. If he wants to be a dork, he's not scared to be a dork. But he was talking about how Indiana's team this year has had the thought of delayed gratification. And in a world like today, where delayed gratification is a four-letter word, no one even knows what that is because the information comes in so rapidly in today's world. So that's where that delayed gratification, the work that you put in, is going to be the foundation of not necessarily what you're doing on the field. It doesn't necessarily the type of person you are, but it tells you what type of person you are on the inside because you're not scared to continue to put that work in each and every day. I remember when I was with the Yankees, dude. I remember I saw Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, Robinson Cano, Jorge Posada, Mark Teixeira. Yo, these cats did the same shit every day, right? It didn't matter if they got 4 hits or they got no hits. It wasn't about what happened at 7:05 because these cats were already prepped. And I'm just this young buck sitting in the corner like, damn, if Jeter's doing it, baby, then I better start doing this stuff too. And if you ever look at the back of my baseball card, you'll notice that those 4 years when I was in New York were extremely consistent because I was around consistent guys year in and year out. These dudes were about the work. They weren't necessarily all about the success because they knew if they put that work in each and every day, that November, those World Series were going to follow. And I was so blessed to be able to have big brothers, uncles, whatever you want to call them, to be in my life to teach me that. Because you're right, AJ. When you're putting in the work and the results aren't coming, it's so degrading. You're just
Yeah.
thinking to yourself, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, that's that time when you're like, okay, Lord, if you give me 2 hits today, I will
Yeah.
do that. You know what I
Literally,
mean? Right?
that's when your superstitions come about. It's like, okay, I'll put this sock on first. If I chew gum this inning, then not the second. I had some crazy Did you have any superstitions?
What, dude? Hey, player, I was a switch hitter. I had all of them. But one of my best superstition stories is just happens to be about my wife. Okay. I was on a
Aw.
heater in New York, right? I mean, it might have been like 10 or 12 games, and I was banging, player, left handed, right handed. It didn't matter. So one game, all of a sudden, just in the middle of this, I go 0 for 4 with 3 punch outs. And I'm just like, I just felt like I got blindsided. So next thing you know, we get in the Jeep after the game, and I turn and look at Joe, and I'm like, did you change your earrings? She was like, oh, yeah, they match my outfit. Do you like them? And I was like, hell no, I don't like them. You,
That's why I
you,
struck
can't,
out.
you can't change your earrings in the middle of a streak like that. She said, hold on, hold on. Let me explain something to you right now. If you think my earrings had anything to do with that horseshit swing you were taking tonight, then you are sorely mistaken. And so that's just kind of where my superstitions kind of stopped at that point. But
Wait,
up
what a
until
man, though. What a man for
no,
noticing her earrings for a
I
week
did. I was
straight
like,
and
yo,
then
I was like, wait a minute, did you change your earrings? She was like, yes, I did. Do you like them? They're new. And I'm like, hell no, I don't like them. Those earrings ain't got no hits in them.
Okay, but did she switch back?
No, she
No?
didn't. Well, once again, I think it went to show me that I was putting, I wasn't worried about the work I was putting in. I was putting it in someone else's hands. I'd rather make sure
Mm.
when I go to the batter's box that all that control is in my hands because I've put the work in. I was ready for that moment. And, sometimes it's going to work out for you, sometimes it's not. But I feel like that consistent approach to wake up each morning and kick today's ass and then go
Mm.
to sleep, start up the next day. I feel like with that consistent approach, usually a lot of great things come from that.
We talk about consistent approach and then controlling the things that you feel like you control. I've always been told since I was young, one of the no matter there's so many things you can't control in the game or really in life. What you can control is your attitude and how you step up to the plate, how you come to the field. And we talked about it a little bit, but as I said earlier, your sunshine personified, your attitude and your energy, where you show up every single place. Where did all that come from? Have you just always been a bundle of joy since you were little? Or like, did it come from
I feel
somewhere?
like I've always had some serious energy, AJ.
Yeah.
I've always had a lot of juice from the beginning, but I think as I've gotten older and as since I've become a girl dad, it's just made me a better human being in general. I think, listen, when you're a professional athlete, right, it's very competitive. And I feel like a lot of us athletes, we get those chips on our shoulder because
Mhm.
it's a competition. Like we had to be there, and maybe that's what made us good. But to be able to be on the other side of it and to have that chip gone and to have the overall appreciation for the sport as well as still loving it and having the blessing of still being part of it. I love those things so much. I feel like I was so blessed to be able to do what I did, but this second half of life has just been. I keep telling people this. Yo, my 30s were better than my 20s. My 40s were better than my 30s, and I just feel like I'm just going to keep going on that sort of trajectory because who knows what tomorrow brings. And so I think for myself, I've just been so blessed to have so many amazing relationships in life that I think that's the main reason why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. I think prime example, the New York Yankees could pick 100 different guys to be a special advisor other than me, but they chose me for a reason, and I take a lot of pride in that. So when I show up on scene, baby, I'm all in. I mean, I am ears wired. I mean, I am on. I am ready to go because that organization, the New York Yankees, they've picked me out of the gutter twice. Once when I was with the Chicago White Sox after my 2008 season, and I thought nobody in the world thought I was any good. And then right after I retired in 2016, when Brian Cashman called me and said, Swish, we need you back. There's no better feeling than the feeling of being wanted. And the New
Yeah.
York Yankees made me feel that way. So I would do anything they would ask me to do. Anytime, any place. I am blessed to be working for one of the greatest organizations on the planet and can't wait to continue to keep doing it. And you never know. Might see me in the dugout one day, AJ. You never know.
Hey! Wait,
Possible.
we would all love that. We would all love that. Being a special advisor for the Yankees, you're able to really connect with a lot of the young guys and not only bring a different energy, but allow them or help them to elevate to the one of the Yankees. When then you go into it with the mentality, how do you feel like great energy or you're able to impact the young guys that are coming up through the system?
Yeah, over the last 3 years, I've shifted a lot of my focus kind of from the big league side, more kind of working on the player development side. It's easier to in my mind, I've always kind of thought this is easy to listen to somebody who's been there and done that, right? So I don't need you to learn from the things that I've accomplished in life. I need you to learn from the mistakes that I've made along the way. And so for myself, just being able to just be a bright light in these, young athletes' worlds. I mean, listen, I wasn't the best of the best. I wasn't a perennial Hall of Famer. I wasn't an all-star each and every year. I had to work my absolute tail off to get to where I was. And so I feel like being able to bring that sort of mentality into a locker room or into an organization is only going to help elevate that because I try to keep myself in shape just like these young Thundercats do. And when I come up in there, looking just like these cats do, there's no excuses, right? Like, I'm 45 years old. I'm old enough to be your dad. If I can do these things, you should be able to do them too. And one of the other things that I always preach is just consistency. If you have somebody, AJ, that shows up each and every day and you know exactly what to expect out of them, that's consistency because you know what you're going to get from that person. And so I think sometimes in life, regardless of if, days are good or days are bad, all my days aren't good. But at the end of the day, I choose to believe a certain way. My father told me when we were kids that we all have the ability to do one thing. And I was like, well, what's that, Dad? He said, we all have the ability to choose. And so I feel like, in life, you make a lot of different choices. And for myself, I've just happened to choose a lot of the positive side of things, considering, career 250, 255 hitter player. I mean, like, that's 1 out of 4. You know what I mean? Like, that's 3 times I'm just walking back to the dugout. So I think in general, I've dealt with a lot of failure in my life, but being able to still look on the bright side of things, I take a lot of pride in that.
I've read this one quote as I'm just like looking up all of your stuff and find it just really resonated with me. And it said, energy is a powerful force for change. Positive energy attracts positive outcomes. When you go out and you bring that energy to the guys and you're helping them develop, the Yankees haven't won a World Series in what, 17 years?
16.
16 years?
16 years.
How are you trying to turn that culture around? I mean, there's so many different things that have happened now. You don't have to you can wear beards now with the Yankees. You have the guys coming
Yeah,
out
it's
with the
just
new
different.
shoes and decked out. Like a lot of
Yep.
things are changing with the Yankees. How have you been involved in that? What do you feel like is probably one of the bigger things that are kind of helping make that shift?
Yeah, I think just in general, obviously, one of the things that I don't want to go away is there for a couple of years, back in the day when the New York Yankees didn't win a World Series, it was a bad year, right? You were just expected to win the World Series each and every year, and I don't want that. I don't want that to go away. I don't want people to think that, yeah, we made it to the playoffs. It was a good year because that's not what New York stands for. New York is a bunch of blue collar people that work their tails off each and every day. And just as well as I do, if you've ever been down to the Bronx, baby, that's where the party's at. And just being able to have the honor and the privilege of being able to play in that cathedral, it rubs off on you. And so I think just in general, one of the things that I want is I want to keep that logo shiny. I want people to remember that playing for the New York Yankees is an honor. And I think that that's how it was back in the day. I feel like that's still how it is, but that's one of the things that I don't want to ever go away. Listen, people in New York can get awfully antsy. It has been a minute since we've won, and we are knocking on that door each and every year. And one of these days, we're going to burst back through. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but at the end of the day, listen, Aaron Boone and his coaching staff have done a fantastic job during his tenure. I just haven't quite crossed that finish line yet. And you never know. There's still a lot of moves to be made out there, AJ. There's still a lot of players out there that
Yeah.
haven't signed. So I'm interested to see where the dominoes start falling once we can start bringing in, the players that we need, right? Maybe shift the culture a little bit. I think just in general, I think the New York Yankees right where they need to be. The staff is going to be absolutely nasty this year. Getting Garrett Cole back is going to be huge, along with having, Rodon, Freed, getting Hill back to where he needs to be. Bullpen, we're going to need some help. We're going to figure that out. But Brian Cashman, that's what that guy does, man. He knows how to put a bullpen together. So listen, there's a lot of things I think we need to do, a lot of things I think we can get better at. But I think if we continue to keep that consistent approach day in and day out, we'll get back there.
Can I ask what is the emotional attachment men have to the beard? Because I know it's a lot of time you come and say, "Oh, I don't wanna shave, I don't wanna shave." I know it's like makeup. It's like makeup for men, the beard. It's serious business.
Listen, maybe some kind of grow it because they don't want you to see their face. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. I always kind of thought just having it was an honor to be able to come over and shave every day with the New York Yankees. I thought it was an honor. There's no other team in the league that does that. There's no other team in the league that has that sort of tradition. So I was a little disappointed when it left. Obviously, I still try to keep my face clean shaved. Although some of my guys are all edged up. They look sharp. I'm not gonna lie. I'll give it to 'em. But at the end of the day, the big burly beards, the 3-day 5 o'clock shadow. I'm like, player, it just looked like you haven't shaved, dude. Not
Yeah.
you ain't putting that thing up. It just looked like you haven't shaved. So I don't know. I just thought it was one of those things where it was an honor to be able to do that, even though it was a pain in the ass. It was something that I still continue to do till today.
So go out freshly baby face and hitting
Yep.
bombs,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nobody else
That's
was nobody had to have the baby
that's
face
right.
hit the bomb.
That's right.
Well, playing with the Yankees, you came over there in, the offseason from '08 to '09, so you're part of the '09 team and winning the World Series that year. What was the culture? I mean, there was so many. You guys had pies. You pie each other in the face, became a celebration. Like, I feel when you come in there, it's such a tight, buttoned up place going to play for the Yankees. You come in there in '09. CC came that year as well, and Teixeira came that year as well. You guys, very big personalities coming in, and you're in there with the core four that's already established there, bringing your energy and being able to kind of, you talk about a culture shift. I don't know if was it a big culture shift for them, for you, and how did you guys mesh?
I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, I mean, these cats thought I was probably nails on a chalkboard when they first met me. They were like, "Yo, who is this dude right here?" You know? But I also one of the big names that we missed out of there was AJ Burnett. I think
Burnett, yeah.
AJ deserves a lot of the credit. I mean, obviously, CC's career speaks for itself. Mark Teixeira, one of the best switch hitters of our generation. But, going down the stretch in that '09 run, AJ Burnett had some huge starts for us in the playoffs. And once again, have to give him full credit for the pies. I mean, bro, could you
Really?
imagine what, like, Pettit or Posada was thinking when AJ Burnett's running out with this like pie to give somebody, like I mean, I think we had like something like 17 walk-off wins that year. Like that was just an insane run we had. But I think the one thing that I will remember most about that locker room was it was run by the players. And listen, that's the one organization that I was part of to where I climbed the top of the mountain and it was player run. So I feel like, those locker rooms out there in the big leagues that are run by the players, that police themselves, that hold each other accountable, I think those teams usually end up being best. So I think at the end of the day, I mean, listen, that's what you shoot for every year. You shoot for a locker room to vibe together, to be able to have conversations that may not be the easiest. They may be disagreements, but that's okay. But being able to have a locker room led by players is the ultimate dream. I think Doc Roberts has that over in LA. You've been in that locker room. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
Having Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. I mean, these guys, they just hold people accountable. And, I think for just the league in general, you got a lot of young studs coming up and being able to teach those Thundercats how to go about that business early in that sort of team setting, play it for the front of your jersey and not the back, is obviously what every manager is looking for. So just for myself, I feel like that was one of the things that I remembered most, just having great leaders in all different facets. You had, the captain was, he was a quiet guy, didn't say much, but all you had to do was just look in his eyes and you knew that he was locked. And then you had, Jorge Posada, Andy Pettit, just the gritty guys, right? The guys that would just absolutely go to battle. And then Mariano, Enter Sandman. I mean, I don't think he
Yeah.
said 3 words all day. He just come in and just close it out 1, 2, 3. But once again, it wasn't necessarily a locker room led by a lot of talking. It was done by a lot of action. And anytime you have, those individual men leading your team, it's easy to fall in line with those guys because the culture was already set by the time that I got there. Now, did we mix in a little music? Yeah. Mix in some shaving cream pies? Yeah, a little bit. But at the core for the New York Yankees that was Derek Jeter's team. And we all knew that. So I think just in general, one of the things that, Captain and I always got along on was we both wanted to win. And each and every day, it didn't matter if it was Monday, Sunday, Thursday, Wednesday, we were coming. And so being able to play on that team was such a blessing for me because it literally taught me so much about life in general and how to succeed as a team. Because winning as a team and not as an individual, it's a really, really cool feeling being able to do it with a group of guys that you never know. You didn't know most of them. You didn't know where they were from, but you got to learn and be part of that. And anytime you can win as a team is always awesome.
What do you feel like is the biggest lesson you learned that year going on win a World Series championship, something that every person that puts on a uniform hopes to do one day?
Yeah, I think I learned how to be a pro. I think I learned how to be a pro there. I learned what a routine was. I was kind of more of the feel guy. I'd be like, I'll hit today. I mean, I almost hit every day, but there was no real purpose on why I was hitting every day. But once I got to New York and I got around those guys and I saw how Robinson Cano went about his work and how the captain went about his work and Rod and Posada and Johnny Damon and just watching how these dudes did it each and every day. It's like they never took a day off. And so I think that really, really taught me how to be a pro. Yeah, I was still a little off the wall and I could still have my own personality. But I think when it came to that, the business side of it, making sure you were ready each and every day, I learned so much about that from those guys. I'm very thankful for that.
Is there anyone that was like a big mentor for you?
Yeah, so I think there's two guys that really pop off the charts for me. Number one would be Jason Kendall, who I had as a rookie in Oakland, and probably one of the toughest human beings I think I've ever met in my life. This was a guy that played for 18 years in the league. Was $100 million player as a catcher, could run, could throw, could hit. There just wasn't anything that he couldn't do. I mean, it would be to the point where we'd have a 7:00 game and he'd knock on my room at 11:30 in the morning and be like, "Hey, are you ready to go? I'll meet you downstairs at 15 minutes." And what do you say to Jason Kendall when he says, "Meet you downstairs at 15 minutes"? I'm like, "Okay, I'll be down there in 15 minutes."
I'll be down at 10, actually. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to go to the ballpark and we just used to sit in the stadium while the grounds crew was doing the field. And he always used to say to me, "You know how lucky we are? Nobody
Mhm.
gets the opportunity to do this." And he used to just sit there. And I'm like, "Bro, what the hell is he looking at? Like, what there's just the grounds crew." But it was obviously a little later in my career when I really started to appreciate being able to do that. I mean, I was 23 years old. I was like, "Bro, let's just get to the game, dude. I'm ready to mash. Like, let's go." But he was like, "There's a lot more that goes into this." And then the second person that I'd say had a huge impact on my career, love him like a big brother, is Frank Thomas. The Big Hurt. I mean, bro, I had
Yeah.
posters of this cat on my wall as a kid. I mean, bro, next thing you know, I'm like hitting back-to-back home runs with the Big Hurt. Like, yo, there wasn't there wasn't anything that he didn't teach me, whether that came from anything on the field, off the field. Like, he just knew how to handle situations. And, he was one of the guys that, taught me a lot about how to conduct yourself early in your career. And I was so blessed to be able to have him. I caught him my second year in '06. So I had Jason Kendall my first year, and then I had Jason and Frank my second year. And I just had two great big brothers that come from two completely different places, two totally different style players, but both had that grit, that tenacity, that willing to work, and that willing to be the best. And being able to have those guys in my career and in my corner early was a huge blessing for me. And another name that would pop up would be Mark Conce. Obviously, great manager, great leader. Obviously, still trying to figure out what their team's going to be named next year. Are we still the Sacramento Athletics? Because
Yeah.
I saw all the Vegas stuff got knocked
They
down,
got
so I'm
knocked.
interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. So, being able to just have those individuals in my life and still have in my life is really, really cool. Just being able to pick up the phone and ask those guys what they think. Um, it's really cool because once again, if you want to get better at something, you have to be around people that are better than you.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate enough to be around those sort of people.
You talk so highly of not only them, but also being able to wear the pinstripes and be with the Yankees. What would you say is your favorite memory as a Yankee?
Oh, God. It's hard, man. Playing right field, game 6, ground ball to Cano. I'm with the sheriff player, and it was like party time. Like, it was just one of the most amazing feelings that I've ever had in my life because you worked so hard for that. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, man, we won it in '09. We're gonna win it in 10. We're gonna win it in
Yeah.
11. We're gonna win it in 12." And, like, it never came back around. I never even had the opportunity to play in it again. So, I think just for me, being able to have that memory in Yankee Stadium and probably my favorite memory of being part of the New York Yankees is the bleacher creatures. I mean, those are my fucking people, dog. I mean, I'm not lying. I mean, like, I should get a bleacher creature just tattooed on my
Tattooed.
body somewhere because, like, just the way that they brought me in, they made me feel like part of New York so quick that it just really just let my personality fly. I felt safe. As hard as that is to say, it didn't matter where I was in New York. I didn't matter if I was, on the block with the guys or I was I never felt unsafe in New York because I always thought, these are my people, right? This is where I'm from. Like, these are my people, And so just having that opportunity to be part of an iconic organization like the New York Yankees is such a blessing for me, something I hold near and dear to my heart, and something that I'm still trying to raise the bar each and every year, trying to make this organization better, try and get us back to the glory land. Because listen, at the end of the day, if we get a ring, I get a ring. So I'm like, let's
Yeah.
go. Let's do this, you know?
More jewelry for everybody.
That's right, dude. Chips for everybody. Let's go.
Well, maybe you guys should bring back the pies.
Something I think, listen, you gotta have something that you rally around. Every team has something like that. I think, listen, we've put such a great product out on the field over the last decade full of years. It's just a matter of time till we cross that finish line. It's coming. It's coming soon.
How was the inception of the pies? Did it go over well?
It
That
went over
Burnett
absolutely fantastic.
did
Yep,
it?
yep.
Even like from
Yeah,
the first time?
yeah, 'cause AJ went right out there, and you know what? At that point, AJ was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? I'm rolling out there. And he did. And by the way, could not have been a better person to do that. I mean, he had such a great personality, fun guy in the locker room. And not only that, a tremendous pitcher as well. So
Yeah.
I think once that started happening, it was kind of like, I think Melky Cabrera had like 3 or 4 walk-off hits that year. And you wanted to be the guy up because you wanted to
Get
get the pot.
the
You know what I
pie,
mean? You
yeah.
wanted to get the pot. So just being able to have something like that we all wrapped our arms around, that 2009 year was magical, absolutely magical from start to finish. Being able to have beat the almighty Phillies, at home, game 6. I mean, that was just, something I'll never, ever forget for sure.
I feel like we talked about so many like the amazing highs and things you've learned from that time with the Yankees, but also your amazing mentors. Throughout your experience in the game, we can't always have the highs. What did the low moments teach you? Because sometimes they teach the most lessons, even though they're the
Yeah,
hardest.
I think they teach you the 95%
Yeah.
is once again, when you're just flying through life and you're winning and you're kicking ass, you're not really learning anything. You're
Mm,
just floating. You're just living. You're in the moment. And maybe that's something to be said about learning about being in the moment. Because when you're 0 for 28 and you're looking at your bats in the corner in your locker being like, all right, which one's got hits in them today?
today. Yeah.
It's just like
You
very
literally we get so
unpredictable.
desperate. Okay. Which
So
one to
desperate.
do?
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
so real.
almost
We've
put
all been there.
Man, it's almost like put the Michael Irvin belt on him maybe or something.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure just to figure out how to do it, but I think, now looking back at those times, those were the times when your character was checked the most. Because you realize a lot about a player when they're down, and this is where that attitude comes into play. There have been, a few times in my life that I probably wasn't the best teammate because I was being selfish and I was worried about what I was doing. And one of the best ways that I've ever learned how to get out of a slump is to start paying attention to your teammates. Stop worrying about so much what's happening in your game and start paying attention to what's happening in the game. And then once you get up there, my dad always said you're one swing away. And I feel like, listen, we are in the I me type world, right? Fantasy sports have kind of pushed it that way a little bit. But at the end of the day, just understanding that the game is bigger than you and that you are just here for a short amount of time. So I've always kind of thought to myself, and the way I kind of approach, meeting different people is what kind of taste am I going to leave in their mouth? How are they going to remember me? The old Joe DiMaggio quote, there may be one kid in the stands that's never seen me play. And that's kind of how I try to approach it. It may not be the best game, but I'll be damned if I wasn't going to lay out for that ball in right center. I wasn't going to crash into that wall trying to make that play. Just because at the end of the day, I always wanted whoever came to watch me play to be like, you know what? I want to be like that guy right there. I want to be like that guy, man. He looks like he's having the best time out there. He looks like he's living his best life. And he was right because I was. But
Yeah.
I just think in general, I think that I happen to be in the right place at the right time a lot of times in my life.
Well, speaking of your energy and how that is something that's so consistent, we can all trust that that's what we're going to get out of Swish. And when bring about your relationships and the trust, is that what you would say is one of the most important things to building a great team and being able to remain consistent there?
Huge, right?
Yeah.
Hardest thing to earn, easiest thing to lose.
Yeah.
I've been married for 16 years, and I think those are probably two of the pillars of why we're in this position. I think just in general, in anything that you have, in any relationship in life, consistency, loyalty, respect. Listen, I think sometimes in life, as coaches and as mentors, you're not always going to be happy with us. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, I hope that we've all been working on the respect that we want to have for one another. And I think that respect goes both ways. I remember my father used to always tell me, he's a little more hard nosed than I am, but he used to always say, son, I'd much rather be respected than liked. And there's something to be said about that because, listen, as a leader, as a mentor, as a coach, manager, any sort of head of an organization, you're not always going to be liked by everybody. But
Mhm.
your hope and your wish is that you put the work in, that they respect you to that point. I've almost kind of taken the approach now, looking at like a lot of our, minor league guys or even big league players. I kind of look at them as piggy banks in a sense, because I gotta put deposits in. I gotta give compliments, right? I gotta let them know that I care about them, because at some point, if I have to get on you, that's my withdrawal. I need to know that there's still enough money in the bottom of that piggy bank to know that you still know that I love you and that I care about you. Because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, it's not always going to be what you hear. I'd rather be real with a lot of these players sometimes than, beating around the bush. I think it's a lot easier. Then you're not caught up in any lies. So I think just for myself, just having that sort of understanding of how to approach players, and how I would want to be approached. I mean, AJ, you know me, dude. I want you to be like, yo, Swish, your haircut today is money, bro. Like, I can't believe you wearing those spikes today. Those things are fire. Like, those were sort of the things that I wanted to hear, right? Like, if you give me a hug, I'll run through a brick wall for you. I didn't need to be yelled at. But that's where, I think coaches and managers taking the time to understand who their players are and what they need at perfect times. I heard they were talking about Mike Vrabel the other night, obviously head coach of the Patriots, and they were just giving him so many compliments, saying that he knew exactly what his players needed at that exact time. And how many players are on a football roster? 53? So you're trying to tell me that he's worked all season long to get to know exactly what these guys need, each and every one through 53. And so I think that's kind of one of the approaches that I would take, because I feel like what I saw in the World Series last year from 7, 8, 9 hitters for the Toronto Blue Jays, baby, is you need that bottom half. Because
Yeah.
if that bottom half is spinning it over to the top, you're going to be scoring a ton of runs. Obviously,
Yep.
Dodgers won. It was a great series, but watching how great the bottom of that lineup was, just taking pride. Nobody really wants to be hitting 7, 8, 9. But at the end of the day, somebody has to do it, and those guys did such a tremendous job of being able to roll that back over to the top half, and let the boys at the top do their thing. So I just think in general, you got to just appreciate where you are, love it, and go after it, because there's going to be a lot of people in your world that are going to tell you no, and you're not good enough, and you're not big enough, and you're not fast enough. But at the end of the day, I hope that each one of our listeners out there are taking those things and just building a bonfire right behind you with all of those things, right? You're not big enough. You're not fast enough. You're too slow. Your bat speed's not good enough. You're not from the right area. This and that. That all of a sudden, that little fire that you get, that people keep saying that, and that's what happened to me. I was sick and tired of people telling me I couldn't do something. So I know I don't know, maybe a little cheesy saying, but prove people wrong. Let them know, right? Let them know exactly who you are, because I think sometimes people might have a perception of what you are, but until you go out there and show them who you really are on the insides, then they'll understand who you are. So I always have that sort of fire on the inside. I think that really, really helps too.
I like that. So this is who you think I am. I'm about to show you who I really am. Here we
Exactly.
go. Well, on top of your playing career after you retired, you never left the game, as we talk about being developmental coach of the Yankees, but also you're part of the CAT program, the Commissioner's Ambassador program, and then you've also been the catalyst, the start, someone that really is continuing to push women in sports with the Home Run Derby X. So
Yes.
excited for all of the amazing things that you are doing, but I kind of want to talk a little bit more about Home Run Derby X, because when it comes down to the growth of professional softball, I think within the last 2 to 3 years, it has had an amazing and huge push
Yes.
and explosion, not only in notoriety, but exposure. And I think Home Run Derby X is another great example where you see these professional softball players on the same stage as Major League Baseball players, and they're going out and holding their own, hitting sometimes more home runs than the guys, doing their big one. The inception of Home Run Derby X, what was the original goal, and especially bringing in the pro softball players?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we were just looking for a way to create more baseball fans. And at the end of the day, I mean, goodness gracious, boy, we hit the jackpot with, these amazing softball players as well as, women's hardball players as well.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't know what to expect either. AJ, when we first started this thing out in 2021, I was interested because I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're playing on the same field, right? We have the same dimensions. The only thing that's different is you can use a metal bat and I got to use a wood bat. That's not really that much of an advantage. Well, let me tell you what we have learned over the last 4 years that these softball girls, these baseball girls are the baddest chicks we got, dude. I mean, they
period.
are the headliners. They really are. I mean, you've been to Clock It, baby. You
Yeah.
know. I mean, it has
Yes,
been,
like, this is definitely a girl dad. He just did the
ain't no
clock it.
doubt. Clock It,
Absolutely.
girl.
Yeah.
You know it, dude. You know it. It has just been one of those things where I have just absolutely fallen in love and just become so excited about what's to come in a league like AUSL, right? Not only knowing 3/4 of the league and getting the opportunity to work with them as well as talk to them, but also too understanding, how the front office works over there with Kim Ing and being able to spend time with her and just how she's got it together and being able Jenny Finch as well as Kat Osterman. It's like there's just so many amazing women that are part of this league. You just wish them the best of luck because you know what they want to do on the inside. You just want to be able to make sure that they're able to do everything that they can to make this league one of the best it's ever been. So for someone like me, you got a major fan of AUSL and your boy Swish right here, obviously. Absolutely, to be able to have all new sisters and the whole nine throughout the league, I could not be more blessed to be able to have them in my world and also having a huge understanding of if we don't have them in Home Run Derby X, Home Run Derby X ain't what it is. And
Mm.
so being able to have these absolutely amazing women as well as the men that we've had that have competed on the collegiate scene, as well as some of the legendary guys we've had with the Adrian Gonzalez's of the world, and Manny Ramirez, Dexter Fowler. I mean, you name it. I mean, the list goes on. Ryan Howard, the list goes on and on. So I think we are so blessed to be able to team up with them and to prove to the world that you can have a league and you can have a sport where men and women compete on the same platform. And being able to be part of Home Run Derby X has just been absolutely amazing. We have the sky is the limit for what we're about to do. We've got some killer stuff coming up in 2026. I wish I could tell you what we got going on, but they're kind of under wraps right
No.
now. Uh, I think that
Not
we've,
even a teaser?
I can give you this. The commissioner's all he's in. He loves what we're doing. And anytime that Commissioner Manfred loves what you're doing, normally that escalates things a little bit. So I think just for myself, as well as, my two partners in Charlie Hill, Kellum Salter, Johnny Gomes, massive part of what we're doing. We got some amazing things coming up in 26. And you know what? I mean, listen, I know the Savannah Bananas are doing their thing. But ladies and gentlemen, don't forget Home Run Derby X because we
Yeah.
coming. We coming, y'all.
When you first put on Home Run Derby X and were able to bring the women in, who, like, impressed you the most? Who did you
Oh,
see
right out
swing
the
for the
gate,
first time? Yeah,
Stelly
who?
braids, Stelly braids, the whole
Stelly.
nine. Bro, when Bianca Stelly came on the scene, and bro, she had that leg kick and that curl, the whole
Yeah.
nine, and she was launching balls, dude, launching. And then I met Alex Hugo and Ashton Lansdale, who both play in the WPBL.
Yep.
And dude, I mean, bro, I was just like, I gotta
Yeah.
get back in the gym, dude. Like, I gotta get after it. I mean, these girls are absolutely fantastic. So, obviously, since then, a couple that have really popped off the page to me: Amanda Lorenz, Jocelyn Allo, Rachel was absolutely fantastic for us in Kansas City this year. Who else pops up? Oh, Tiare Jennings, love her
Yeah.
to death. I mean, we've got some ballers, dude. We really, really do. Kenzie Henson came in, hit for us a few times. But I don't know. I think the sky is the limit, and being able to have the opportunity to not only not necessarily partner with, but work with AUSL to really kind of make that platform for women just a little bit bigger than what they have. Has just been absolutely awesome for us at Home Run Derby X. So we're so blessed to have each and every one of the ladies that we got. I love them all to death and can't wait to get 2026 off the ground because this year's going to be dope. This one's going to be a cool ass year for sure.
Swish, you have been one of the biggest supporters and biggest voices when it comes to supporting women in sports, whether it is in baseball or in softball. Why is that something you've been so steadfast in, being able to be such a huge supporter of us in the game?
I mean, never in a million years did I think that I'd be sitting here at 45 years old with two daughters.
Yeah.
Never in a million years.
Emerson
And
and
I think
Sailor, right?
yeah, Emerson and Sailor. Yep.
Emerson.
And being able to have those beautiful little things in my life, it has completely opened my eyes to the other side. And I don't necessarily think that maybe it was my fault that I haven't seen all that, but now understanding how the machine works, right? What the leagues are, who's in charge, how do we make it better? I mean, I saw the explosion of the WNBA because NBA players started going.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the thing that I think now with AUSL as well as the WPBL. I think there's an amazing opportunity for Major League Baseball to tie in. I think MLB, showed their commitment to AUSL with two big checks that have really, really helped out. And I'm really interested to see, how they're going to invest in WPBL. I think there is these leagues are only growing. They only continue to keep getting bigger and better. And anytime that you have the opportunity to be part of something like that, I want to be part of that. I want to help. I love being part of a team. I'm a glue guy.
Yeah.
I'm a locker room guy. I understand how to play in the sandbox. I understand how to motivate my teammates. So I think just in general, just being able to have the opportunity to be part of this, these amazing ventures, I think is absolutely amazing because now, I think when my daughters look at me, they're a little more proud of me, right? They're just a
Yeah.
little more proud, because like now it's like when we go to these Home Run Derby X events, they don't want to see me here. They're like, Dad, we've already seen your YouTube clips. We don't need to see you hit anymore. We want to see the girls hit. We want to see Alex. We want to see Ashton. We want to see Erica, like so now it's all of a sudden because of this platform with, AUSL as well as Home Run Derby X, like all of a sudden these women are becoming names. And it's really, really cool to be part of it. I mean, AJ, you played collegiately. It almost kind of felt like, once college ended for softball players that it was almost kind of over.
Yeah.
Like that was almost like the pinnacle of softball. And I'm hoping that Kim and everyone over at AUSLs is doing their best to try and change that, to let them know that, hey, yes, there are a lot of collegiate softball fans that we have, but we can also transfer them into being professional fans too. So I think just with whatever Kim and Jenny and the girls are doing over there, I think it's absolutely amazing. And I just wish them the best of luck.
With your daughters play sports? I know one for sure. Do they both play sports?
Yeah, so we've got, I got one who's a flyer on the cheerleading team, which is
Oh,
so damn
nice.
scary. Okay. And then I got a softball player and a horse jumper in my other one.
Oh,
So
nice.
I've
What a
never thought in a
mix.
million years that the safest one they'd be playing is softball, but I'm like, yo, we're jumping these these things are high now, AJ. They're high. So my oldest is jumping and, springtime's coming right back around. So I think we'll probably be jumping into a little bit of rec ball here in this spring, really just kind of working on our game, because at this point, like I've never ever cared like how good my kid was. I never even looked at it like that. I just looked at it like, are you having the best time of your life? Because you are 9 years old and I want you to love this a lot. So it is funny when, parents will come up to me and think, yo, Coach Nick, hey, do you think my kid's going to be any good? I'm like, bro, he's 7 years old.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't even know what to tell you. He's 7. Like, who cares how good
No,
he is
you're
at 7?
probably like, "Yeah, man, he's got a great arm. Yeah, he looks."
Yeah,
I
well,
feel
you
like
know
you're
me. I
like, "Yeah,
gas him up. I'm like, bro, he's gonna pitch for the Yankees, bro. So I just think in general, like, if I would tell parents anything, just let your kids go, right? Like, let them enjoy the game. Don't make them live your dreams. Let them live their dreams.
Well, speaking of living dreams, would you ever own a softball team?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm in on this softball stuff now, dude. The game is quick, it's fun, it's exciting. I think all you have to do is just look at the AU schedule last year and how many different places they played where they were selling out stadiums. Like, that was really, really cool just to kinda see the 6, 7,000 people
Oh
in the
gosh.
stadium. Very cool. So, that was
Oh man, you've been influenced.
I have. I totally have. So I just think in general, I think the sky is the limit for that league. I wanna just continue to see it keep growing, as well as the WPBL. This will be their first
Yep.
season. I'm really excited to see exactly what Keith and the guys over there, as well as the ladies, got in store, because I think that, that bringing in, professional baseball for women, I think is gonna be absolutely amazing too. I think there's gonna be a big shift, and gaining more players, maybe not, on the softball side as well as the women's baseball side as well.
Which one plays softball, Sailor or Emerson?
Emmy.
Emmy.
Yeah,
Okay, so in what, 10, 15 years? Maybe we'll see her in
that's right.
AUSL? Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. No, I think in general, she might be sitting right there next to me. She'll be in the front office telling me what to do down in the dugout at some
Oh, do they love, because you know how little girls can be as, you get older. Do they love your energy or they're like, "Dad, calm down, please?"
Yeah, yeah, listen, my
A mix of
12-year-old,
both?
right? Yeah, my
Yeah.
my 9-year-old's still all about it, right?
Okay.
Because she doesn't get embarrassed yet, but my 12-year-old, she 'cause, I'm a DOD, I'm a drop-off dad, right? Like, I'm a drop-off dad, right? We got our playlist rocking, you know what I'm saying? Like, we getting after it, we got walkout songs, so when you get dropped
Oh, I
off, I play
love
you
it.
a song, So, like, and all the teachers, if I don't come with the music blasting, they're like, "Nick, what's going on? Are you guys tired this
It's
morning?"
off day.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so now we got our walkout songs, the whole 9. I listen, I'm so blessed that I get to take my kids to school in the morning. So, like, I wanna make that a memorable experience, and
Yeah, that's so
just being
cool.
able to just, listen, I know there's a lot of parents out there that don't have that opportunity, so I understand how fortunate I am to be able to do this. So I wanna soak it up. I wanna especially for young women, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're so impressionable early, and if I can teach these young girls how powerful and strong they are and how they can stand on their own 2 feet, we doing something over
You're
here. We we
doing
we
it.
trying to get some stuff done in the Swisher house over here?
I love that. Well, I'm excited to see them. I know she's gonna love maybe 12 years old. 12 is like, that age where it's like you gotta get over the hump. When she's like 6, she's gonna love it again. She's gonna love it again.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just hanging around the point right
Yeah.
now?
All right, Swish. Well, now it's time for my favorite part of the podcast, going into the no fly zone segment. Because as you know, as an outfielder, it is so important for me and everybody to turn the outfield, but really every position, into a no fly zone. For you, what was your favorite play you've ever made in your career?
Whoa, okay, okay. So there's two plays that pop out real quick, okay? Number 1, you remember Dominic Brown, left-handed hitter for the Philadelphia Phillies, number 9?
Mhm.
So anyway, make a long story short, he had this beautiful left-handed swing. I was playing first base, okay? So I'm playing kinda straight up. He rips a ball like a top spin liner down the first base line. I did a sliding catch off of a scoop, come over, scoop it up like that, flip it over to first base. It's one of the dopest plays I've ever made, and I was mid-conversation with the umpire, so as soon as I made the play, I just kept the conversation going with the umpire, like, not realizing, like, "Bro, that might have been, like, the sickest play I've ever made in my life." And then probably my other one was I robbed Brian McCann of a home run at Turner Field in the old Atlanta Braves field. That was a pretty good one too because I'm vertically challenged, dude. I can go side to side. I'm not going up very well. So the fact that I got a little bit up over the fence made it look really cool. So on the defensive side, I mean, listen, you got to play defense. Now with all the new metrics and the whole 9, you can't hide anything. So if you can't go left, they're going to find out. You can't go right, they're going to find out. So I just think in general, that no fly zone. I mean, AJ, you track them down. You know how to track them down. So I just think in general, that's really, really cool.
Oh, so those are the ones you go back, like, you lay down like, that was sick." And then, like, go back to
Sick,
sleep. Yes,
so sick,
sick.
dude.
That
Or
play I
on the
made.
like, like when you start a game at like 7:05 and there was a little mist in the air and you lay out for
Yeah.
and you saw like a
Like a slip and
hydroplane.
slide. Yep.
Yes, yes, that was the
I,
best. Sometimes I'd dive if I didn't have to, just
yeah.
for it.
Wait, it's so great. I was gonna ask you, that's when it comes to my softball icks. Like I tell people that's one of them. People dive when they don't have to. But I get it. If the ground is wet, come on. You say
Oh
you're
yeah,
making a
dude.
game of it. It's more
Of
fun.
course. But
Do
no
you have
doubt,
any
no,
baseball icks?
not really an ick. Just I'm jealous that I didn't get the chance to do it. Yo, these pimping home runs now. Oh my god. You know how dope that would be, right? Just to be able to do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, and not have to worry about your teammate catching one in the ear. You know?
Yeah. What
Hmm.
would have been
Hmm.
yours? Would you done that? I feel like you would have done like the
Oh
big
man.
flip and like the
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, you know me, I'm an emotional guy. It would have been in the moment, but lefties, we were lucky because when you pull that ball down the right field line, you can just kind of walk it out. You know what I
yeah.
mean? You can walk it all down. But I'm telling you what, man, I've seen some dope bat flips this year. I've seen some cool stuff. I'm just jealous that I wasn't able to do that in my era. You know?
What's your favorite kind of bat flip? Mine is the
You know
ones
what?
where they hit it and then they just like flip, stare at you for a second, and then talk their
Mm,
mess and then start walking to the first
mhm,
base.
mhm. I almost kind of like, like the over the shoulder this way, when the bat
Oh,
comes
yeah,
up,
yeah, yeah. Just
you
toss it.
swing and you immediately know it, right? You get the pause, right? But listen, righty bat flips, little different than lefty bat flips. We got to have a different repertoire. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you
Like to be able
do.
to pull from. But I don't know,
You do.
right-handed, maybe like a big follow through right-handed, and then like a jam the sword back in its holster. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Right?
nice.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope.
That would be dope. I could see you doing that one.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Well, Swish, as we know in the game of baseball and softball, failure is inevitable, but ultimately it leads to some of the biggest successes going through failure. So, what would you say is maybe one of your favorite failures that you've had in the game that has ultimately led to some great success?
This is awesome. This is a great one. Uh, Two times in my life where I can say that moments happen in my life that have altered the trajectory in a huge way. One of those was being when I was non-drafted out of high school. Now, I'm not saying I was the best high school player, but I mean, we played like 35 games in my senior year, and I hit 521 with 17 bombs
Ooh,
and 70 RBIs. So I'm thinking to myself, like, and my dad was a first rounder in 1973. I mean, I'm
yeah.
thinking somebody's going to give me a call, right? Nope, nobody called. And that was probably one of the lower points I think I've ever been in my life, just because I thought I had put in the work and I thought I had done what I needed to do to go to the next level, and I didn't. And that's when I think the real work started for me. And, both these times in my life have gone from some of the darkest moments in my life to some of the brightest lights. And that time not being drafted as a senior year in high school and going to Ohio State and 3 years later becoming a first rounder was one of those moments where the lights were bright at that moment. And then the other time in my life was after the 2008 season. I think it's been documented pretty well that my relationship with Ozzie Guillen wasn't great. And that whole year was just a struggle for me on and off the field. And after that season, I took one day off and got back to work. And my dad and I retooled my swing. I got traded to the New York Yankees that offseason, and all of a sudden became a world champ, all star, like the whole night. So it's like, from those moments, it's like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do when you get knocked down? I've been knocked out before. I've been in fights and lost. I've been knocked out before. I just always just kept getting back up. And I think there's something to be said for that. And so for someone like me who was lucky enough and fortunate enough to play for 13 seasons in the big leagues, it's just keep getting up. Like in life, it's not always easy. You're going to run into tough times, but keep getting the fuck back up. I promise
Mm.
you it'll be worth it.
You might get up and run into a championship.
You never know. You never know. Came here, fell in love, met my wife, won a World
Oh,
Series. I mean, like, dude, like, how great was that? It's from like those dark moments. That's when you really look at yourself in the mirror and you realize, like, hey, maybe what I'm doing is not right. Maybe I need to make some adjustments. Maybe I need to start training harder. Maybe I need to be working against the man in the mirror. And so I just think in general, I was lucky enough to be able to have um, the background of realizing that in life, if you want to get better at something, you got to work hard. And so I was really, really blessed to be able to have grandparents, as well as my father, that really, really taught me that.
One thing I was to what first time I've ever met you was in Cooperstown when they had the baseball classic, and you're there being able to be on the same field with your dad he played from 73 to 83, right? 10 years in the big leagues. And so it
Yep.
was your opportunity. You're both wearing the pinstripes. You're able to be on the field. I don't know. I think we talked briefly about it, but to now hear his huge impact on your career and getting through those different failures and reaching where you are today, going back to that moment, what was going through your mind as you realized, "Oh, I'm on the field with the guy that helped me get to this field, and we're wearing the same uniform, like, we're really here together." That's an experience I don't think I mean, most people will never I mean, maybe Griffey, right? But most other people never have in their life.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I helped you do a backflip in front
You
of
did help
Ozzy's.
me do a backflip for
Remember that?
Ozzy. Yeah.
Remember that? I can honestly say this. There were two times when I've really kind of had a pinch me father son moment. Number one was standing with my father. We had those pictures all over the place. Just me and him, just standing there in our respected uniforms, just cheesing, right? I bought him a brand new pair of J's because I was like, yo, you can't come to this thing not looking clean, Dad. Okay. So I got him some new J's. He came out, had the best time ever. And that Cooperstown game was so much fun. But there was one other moment when we went to the Field of Dreams game where my father and I were actually playing catch on that same field where the movie was filmed. And I just remember both of us just looking at each other and just crying. Just because, like, what a moment to be able to have with my hero, right? My idol, like the man who, in my mind, taught me so much. And if it wasn't for his tenacity as well as motivation, to be able to just to build me, I don't know if I would ever have done it. And being able to have someone like that in your life, you should realize how much of a blessing that is. So I was lucky enough to be able to have him to, learn from not necessarily all his successes, but from a lot of the failures and how not to go through those myself. So being able to have somebody who ran through the fire was amazing to be able to have to look up and ask questions to because you knew he was going to give you the honest answer. And sometimes it wasn't always what I wanted to hear, but I trusted him so much, and I still do trust him so much to this day that whatever I thought that whatever he thought that I needed to do to get there, I was willing to do
You
that.
do it. Relationships and trust, two things that really are the foundation for not only who you are, because you build great relationships and people trust you to show up as you every single day, but also the foundations for the relationships that you have and the teammate and the teams that you continue to help build. And whether it be women in sports or whether it be the guys in the game, you're continuing to help build and grow those relationships and the trust. And thank you so much for all you do, Swish. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Dropping diamonds, ladies and gentlemen. My girl AJ, anything for you, kid. Like I said, always got your back, dude. You're killing it. You're doing such great things in so many different spaces. Just proud of what you're doing, dude. Keep doing it.
Swish, I appreciate you so much. And for all those listening, going back to the affirmation we talked about earlier, don't mind the horse, just load the wagon. Today, I believe in myself, no matter the weather or the time. I am the sun. I bring my own sunshine. Thank you
That's
guys
right.
again. Yes, Swish. Thank you again for listening to Dropping Diamonds and all the diamonds we dropped. Continue this conversation on Instagram at Dropping Diamonds Pod. And I'll meet you back here next week, back at the Diamond. Bye for now.